mainly at the beginning of 19th century, and this kind of building is actually under the modern European influence. I can see the kind of the brick layer and all these elements here on this picture. This kind of fresco type thing was actually influenced by the, I think mainly by the Japanese, who again was actually under the European influence. And later, actually, if you go around Taipei City, you can find a lot of houses built say 100 years ago was actually under this kind of style. A lot of decorations, unnecessary decorations, but reflects the spirit of the time of let's say early to late 19th century, and these kind of houses reflects again this geographical situation in Taiwan. So you have all these kind of corridors. So weather like this, Taiwan is actually rainy all the time in the winter. So actually you need these kind of corridors. And you might have noticed that most of Taiwanese are very keen to have the flip-flops on, the slippers. We call it Lai Tuo. You know, with these flip-flops, you go all around the world. And I think a lot of foreign students in Taiwan, they adopted this idea as well. So the flip-flops is actually very convenient for the weather like this. And sometimes we have these trousers, we call it 七分裤, 70% trousers. Don't have to be too long, otherwise all the trousers will be wet. This is convenient for weather like this, like today. And those housings here, you can see this actually mainly in the business district, used as warehouse, used as the merchant club, and so on. If you go to WHEI area, WHEI district, you know where the WHEI is? Right, Longshan Temple area, and you find a lot of houses like this. Or if you go to Dadaocheng, Yanping Beilu, Yanping North Road, Yanping South Road, this area you can find lots of houses like this. Actually was the business district. A lot of design reminds us of say the Roman style or Renaissance style, like this pillar and this kind of window decoration. It was really interesting and typical of the period. But there you can see still the traditional Chinese housing were also built everywhere. You can see the roof and this kind of decoration on the wall. It's made of, sometimes we use clay or stone, and you have this wooden window. The whole wooden panel can be removed, and in case of emergency, with two benches and this, the windows put on top of it, it will be turned into a bed for any kind of unexpected visitors, which is very convenient. In the winter time, the window will be left on, and in the summertime, the window can be altogether taken off. But of course, there's no function to prevent any kind of insects, flies, mosquitoes, and so on. But there was a time that the distance between man and human beings and instincts and insects are really, really close. So the disease, especially this contagious disease, was really popular, very common in Taiwan. And I think still in the countryside you can see this kind of housing. Let me show you later. And this is a common housing. If you should go to mountainous area, have you been to Shiding? In this area, you can see a lot of houses made of stone. Actually, you don't have a brick altogether because you need a kiln. You need a proper clay to burn to wing bricks. So in these remote areas, they used to build houses with stone, and sometimes even with just clay. They kind of put clay together in the pit and throw a lot of, say, straws. Sometimes they even buy human hair and leave hair kind of mixed with this clay and turn it into little bricks, let it dried out, and can be used for building. Just because of the stringy stuff like human hair, they will make the brick more strong, and they use the clay to build houses. Actually, not far away from here, we still have one or two of these kind of clay houses. And this one is made of stone, very popular, and you can see this very simple window panes. The only function is prevent burglar or a thief to break in. Otherwise, there's no use to get rid of the flies and so on. And what else? The details. Okay. And here you can see that some of the vendors, they just use a corner of the house to do some business, to make some business, to make a living. And here, this is a very typical 面线糊. It's a noodle, a type of noodle made of. This kind of noodle is very stringy, very thin, like hair. You just pull it. You have to try this ramen. They make dough and then kind of keep pulling it, and with a dough you can make, say, 2,000, 3,000 noodles. This is the called 面线. The 线 is string, right? Just like a string, very, very thin. And it will be cooked then with some oyster or with some intestine. Should be very tasty if you add all the proper spices. The one that you see here is actually for the, say, the common people, for the farmers and so on. Sometimes if you enter this kind of house or this kind of living condition, it's just like sometimes it's really just like a hall, like a animal den, very low. The ceiling is very low, and hardly any kind of light system. And well, but the advantage is that in this kind of house, it's always kept very cool because of the strong stone walls. And this here, you can see this is the house of the rich people or of the noble birth, that they have a proper living room. In order to recognize this is a living room, you have to see that there's some kind of altar here, right? So you have the tablets to worship their ancestors. We call it 祖先牌位. 祖先 is your ancestor. They have a proper name, and there's an urn there. You just burn the incense every day. So this is actually the main part. In the Western style house, you have especially in the say northern part of Europe, you have the fire in the house. So this is the centerpiece of the house. And in the Taiwanese house, in the Chinese house, this is the centerpiece, the center of the house. And in front of it, you have this kind of table and chair. We call it 八仙桌, right? Actually, the 八仙 is those eight deity. This is a Chinese legend, but it means that this table is big enough for 8 persons. And you have this kind of bench. So whenever you have visitors, you will be there will be this place is actually very is the most honorable place to give any kind of banquet or proper dinner for the guests. It's the living room. And you have to remember that at this stage, the women were not allowed to dine with the guests. Sometimes the women were even not supposed to be seen dining. Right? I remember my grandmother, who always stood in the kitchen to have her dinner. Right? Never took part in any kind of feast. That's their habit. Sometimes if you say, "Come and join us and sit down," she will refuse because she was not used to it. So this is the living room. Okay. And there, oh, it's very. Can you see anything here? No. Okay, here. Okay, this is a cradle made of bamboos. Bamboo grows very quickly in Taiwan, so a lot of utensils were made of bamboos. You can make bed, you can make chair, you can make table, you can make everything, almost everything with bamboos. Right. And here you can see this is a bamboo cradle, and this is a fireplace. This is kind of table with a brass basin in the middle, and you just put the burning charcoal in it for winter. And you have to remember, I think most of you haven't experienced Taiwanese winter yet. Right? You got yourself lucky, because in Taiwan, the winter can be very cold. You don't have the double glazing. You don't have the heating system. And the only way you can kind of get warm is put a jumper on in the house. And nowadays we have more these kind of heaters, but most cases, yes.
So you were saying that they put charcoal in the middle?
Yeah.
Where did they leave the smoke?
Well, there is burnt charcoal, so this is red hot.
Oh, red hot.
So there will be no heat, no smoke.
So in the kitchen you would light it up?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Any other questions? So make sure that in winter you have your jumper on. It's not a funny thing in Taiwan. Okay. And here, this is the traditional Taiwanese bed, or Chinese bed. And you have this kind of hanging outside of the bed, right, or from the ceiling. Used like it is served as a mosquito net. It's very important to have a mosquito net in Taiwan. There was, at least, that without mosquito net you won't be able to sleep. Right? Just because of the sewage, the sewage system was really not packed. It was the piping system was not very common, and the mosquitoes grow very rapidly, and it just goes into the house. So the mosquito net was very important. And this kind of bed was actually sometimes when it's newly wedded couples, you have these hangers. You have this kind of veil in red. Otherwise, there's just a normal veil. What people do just to prevent mosquitoes, to prevent any kind of insect. It was very important. And here, this is the clothes hanger. And for the rich people, the Chinese traditional costume it's really white and need to be hung. And this kind of hanger are very important. So this is the normal household furniture in Taiwan. And you have to see that the floor, this kind of floor was very popular in the rich people's house. I remember when I was young and staying in my grandmother's place, the floor is really of mud. We used to dig a hole on the floor to play on marbles. And we're very common. And if you dug a hole on the floor, it's no problem. You just need some other to get some more clay and pave it anytime. But here you can see that we call it the 丁化砖. It's made of this kind of red in the shape. It was very common, very popular in these rich people's house. Has to be red, right? Because the Chinese are very interested in red thing. It's good fortune. Okay, and these are the furnitures for wedding, case of wedding. Like again, was the bed, right? And you can see this double lock sign everywhere. You have the hand basins, the stands for the hand basin, and with a little mirror, because we don't have a running tap in the house. We don't have the running water in the house at all. Most of the cases you have to get water from the yard, from the well. You pump it up, the water, and bring it in. In the summertime, remember that we put basins of water exposed to the sun. So in the evening time, you still have this warm water. You can take shower, you can take a bath, you can wash yourself, clean yourself. And in these cases, that for example, for the big house, for the normal people, rich people, they will actually have the water served here in little stand here, and do all this kind of personal hygienical job in the room with this basin here, with the stand here. And this kind of furniture are always are still available. If you go to any kind of antique shop, you can find this. Sometimes they are made very delicately, but I think the material counts. We always have these kind of sandalwood furniture, which are very, very expensive, and it can be passed on from generation to generation. Otherwise, you use the normal wood, which won't last too long, and termites might finish it off very quickly. And for the poor people, or the normal farmers, I think the only possibility to get furniture is these kind of bamboo furnitures. So as long as you see these kind of furniture, you know this is from the rich people, rich families. And there are some special things for wedding, like these kind of containers were used for the dowry, for all the presents, gifts from both sides to the other. And you have a lift here to carry the bride in. And just because of the furniture was so expensive and so rare, so for the rich people, when they get married, they will have to order a set of furniture for the bride, and so that the bride can marry into the house happily. Yes.
Was this furniture manufactured in Taiwan or in mainland China?
It is made in Taiwan, but it's all customized. So you have the carpenters here, and they don't do it usually. They just take by. if you order it, they'll finish for you. So you have to order these kind of things, say 6 months ago at least. And you have to order what kind of material you like sandal. That depends how much you can pay. But this kind of handmade, ordered, customized furniture were really expensive. Well, usually that 6 pieces will be enough, like a bed and some kind of containers, some kind of tables will do. But the richer you are, then you get more. And sometimes they do actually hire carpenters from mainland China to have some special finishing, right? Like if you should have the chance to go to Banqiao, not far away from here, there's a called Lin's Garden, and you can see the typical furniture there with these kind of decoration, and most of these furnitures were actually imported from mainland China, right? And they always admire that furniture from mainland China because from Tangshan, which are really of good value. And for the Taiwanese or for the northern Chinese, southern Chinese, another very good value is actually from Canton province. They call it the special material called suanzhi. Right? The suanzhi tree is very good, suitable for furniture, which will last 100 years at least. Very heavy, and well, you can judge the value of the furniture by its weight. Right? The better, the heavier. Okay, and you can see here a lot of deities here in this display. As you have seen, as you know from the last class, that Chinese are really, we don't call it superstitious, right? But we believe in everything, literally. So every places you can find different deities. I will show you a film later about Taiwanese deity and Taiwanese religion again. And even those kind of, well, in Christendom you have what do you call it, the saints, right? In Taiwan we all have, or in China we have the saints as well. A brave general died. He will be worshipped as a deity, just like if someone is canonized. And in Christendom, people will actually, well, don't call it worship, but it will be remembered as the saints. So the deity serves as the same thing. You have deity to give you good fortune, give you good ideas, and give you luck in participating in any kind of examination. You have deity to give you good fortune when you buy lottery. You have deity to help you for a good, safe travel, and so on. So all these kind of deities are mainly made of wood, carved. So if you go to Sanyi, there is a very famous place. A lot of sculpture were actually made there, and these kind of deities, some of them were actually from mainland China, right? And they will be worshipped everywhere. Remember, there was a very interesting time when Taiwanese were actually all crazy about lottery, and everybody has some kind of deity, like a Mazu, like Guangong, and so on, at home. And once they lost the lottery, they get angry with these deities and blame them not being able to protect. So there was a time that all these garbage collectors, they find a lot of deities in the garbage. So in the Futekeng, not far away from here, you have this Futekeng. All these guys, there was actually a keep, right? All these guys were collected and concentrated there. All these deities they found in the garbage, they just put it together. There are hundreds of these kind of deity there. So if you want to build a museum for deity, just go there. You can find enough collections there. And here you can see some of the stamp here. Right? In China, stamps symbolize authority. Everybody will have to have a stamp. Well, in Europe, in Western world, you have the signature, which signal would be enough. But in Taiwan, you have to have a stamp. Do you have a stamp? No? Yeah, you have a stamp. And some of you don't have stamp. So you must have a stamp. When you are going to open up an account in the post office, you need a stamp. Right? And stamp just, well, I think there was a stage that only 2%, 3% of the Chinese were able to read and write. So you need a stamp. And a lot of young, I remember elder generation, they have a ring with the stamp on it. Right? It's a ring, a golden ring with a stamp. And this kind of deity will always have a stamp. And sometimes you can see that these kinds of charms are always stamped. Okay, now we have other household containers. Some of them are very interesting. For example, this one here. We used to have the house delivery when you order food. With this, you can order noodles from the next door noodle shop. They'll bring it to you, and just with this kind of this kind of container. And at home, you have, especially during the New Year festival, you have all these kind of containers with a lot of sugar, sweets, or the nuts and everything put on here. But can you imagine what this is? I have a wild guess. What is this? No, too small, right? And this is actually very important, made of proper wood with red head. Have a guess.
For tea.
No, no. You don't have a lid. Huh? Yeah. No part. This is actually a hat stand. You know, if your hat, right? For the Chinese, you know, they remember the Chinese, typical Chinese hat. That's triangle form. And for the rich people, for the noble people, they have a proper hat, and it's left there. It's a stand for this kind of hat, right? And therefore, there are 4 characters called 路在其中. Your career is in it. Right? In China, have you seen the Chinese hat, the officer's hat? You have different decoration there on the top, right? Usually the officers will be graded in 9 different classes. We call it 九品, right? The lowest will be the nice class, and the first class 一品. And the color of there was actually a marble, a decoration. This is the connection of this is feather, right? Peacock feather on top of your hat, and the hat, the first class would be a red one. Sometimes with made of coral. Most of the cases were made of coral, red coral, and we call it 胡子白了. When your beard turns into white and your 顶子 in the top of your heart will turn red. Right? That's the Korea. So this is actually the stunt for a head. And these are different lamps. Only recently I realized that the wick of the candle. How do you make the wick of the candle? Most of the cases cotton, right? And it's not, if it is not burnt properly, you can find some smoke there. And this, the lamps here outside was actually covered with glasses, different glasses, and for once in a while you have to clear the glass so that the light will be shown properly. And in China, it's very important to cut off the wick from time to time. So in Tang Dynasty, there is a poem about that I'm expecting my friends, right, and we can cut the wick together, and meaning that we can have a conversation to the night. 何当共剪西窗烛. The wick of the candle will have to be cut. But there are some special wick. They are made of the Chinese, proper Chinese paper, and there will be no smoke. But it's really takes a lot of paper in it, so it costs much more expensive. And these kind of lamps will actually use the candle. And candle were actually by no means cheap, right? So whoever would be able to afford these kind of lamps must be rich. How do you use to light in the night before the electricity was actually invented? Do you know? How do you light your house? With what? By no means candle. Don't forget, candle was really expensive.
Oil, right?
Huh?
Special oil.
Oil.
Yeah.
What kind of oil?
Yeah, because lamp oil.
No, lamp oil is a recent invention actually with petroleum. That's a new invention. Animal fat. Or oil. Oil fat. Before that, actually, we used in Taiwan. So until 50, 60 years ago, we used the salad oil, the normal vegetable oil, but the effect was really poor. We have a saying called 一灯无豆, and light is just like a grain, right? And you better not. Just think about it. We don't need too much light in the night. What do you need light for? To read or to write? Well, most of the people, they don't. Just there should be light enough to find a way that will be okay. So in Taiwan, we use a bowl with a lot of vegetable oil in it, and a little wick. Right? And the wick is just very, very kind of short, so they won't burn off too much of the oil. And use a kind of oil lamp. Right? And don't forget, this kind of lamp was really expensive. And in Chinese history, we also call someone's really wasting money because even in the toilet, they use candles. Right? Okay, this is another example of the daily furniture. This is a chair for a little boy, and you can see that it's very suitable for the boy when they go to toilet. Right? There's a pot there, and okay, this for the babies. And here you can see again that is the basin stand, and so on. Okay, then we say that bamboo actually used very popular, very common in Taiwan. You can use most of the daily utensils with bamboo. How many of the utensils can you recognize? What are these? Have any imagine? Any ideas? What are these? Okay. Guess? Shoes. Yeah. It's the straw shoes. It's barely you can find it's the color, the shape. And don't forget, these kind of shoes, if you should wear these kind of shoes, your skin will be cut off immediately. Right? So no one, well actually, not only these kind of straw shoes, no one loved new shoes. In Europe, there was actually an occupation, a job, to wear shoes, wear the new shoes off for the rich people. Right? And these kind of shoes are only for people to walk a long distance. Usually the Taiwanese, or especially the farmers, they go everywhere without any shoes, just barefoot, which was actually very dangerous. There are some pesticides, the worms, go through your skin, to your liver, and a lot of Taiwanese or Chinese farmers suffer from this kind of disease called 肝系统, the liver worm. And with these kind of shoes, well, usually you have to, well, just think about it, Taiwanese, most of the soles of most of the people in Taiwan were already hardened by running kind of barefoot everywhere. And even for them, when they are wearing these kind of shoes, they will have to get used to it, kind of wear it bit by bit, to wear it in, so that they can have this kind of straw shoes on, sandals on. And sometimes this kind of straw shoes or sandals was actually used in a ceremonial function, like funerals. You still have to symbolize, well, use this as to show your condolence. And I don't think nowadays anyone will actually wear this kind of straw shoes, 草鞋. Right? And do you know what this is? Again, this is a container. You have a clay pot in it, carrying few burnt charcoal. You know, this we call it. This in Taiwan it's called hanlo. It's a stove. Actually, to heat yourself up in the winter. The aged people, especially, they always carry everywhere with this hanlo with them, right? Just clay pot in it and burnt charcoal in it, so they can feel warm anywhere. Again, this is very important. And later on, it will be turned into a again ceremonial function. That during the wedding, you have to give it the bridegroom some presents. One of these hanlo will be necessary, right, to keep you warm, keep your son-in-law warm. And these are actually for the fishing. And this is a dustpan. And these kind of things were actually very, they can be used as a cover for the dishes. When dinner is cooked, just cover this on top of the dishes so that no flies can get close to your food. And the straw huts, as you can see. What else? Yeah. Okay, this is the bamboo cradle, as you can see again, and this, you see it more clearly, that's the basin with the charcoal. Okay, this is the women's underwear. You don't have to, you don't usually have the breast holder. And in China, you use this kind of, that was the Chinese bread holder, right? And that's the shoes for those little 3寸金莲, the little round feet. And all the decoration here must be led by the women themselves. And the prettier, the better. Shows that how capable you are to do all these kind of housework. Yeah. And that's the women's outfit. Most of these things are made of silk, of course, and this with this decoration, with this color, it only symbolizes that or reflects that it's of an upper class, only the rich people. For the normal Taiwanese or for the normal Chinese, through your lifelong, you won't be able to have more than 2 clothes at the same time. And those can be worn ages. There's no size actually, free size. For if you're getting fatter or you're getting thinner, you just tie it up in different ways. And this can be passed on from generation to again. So in Chinese cities, most of the township, you always find a shop, second-hand shop for clothes and stuff. You have to think about it nowadays, who actually sell well, I suppose there still is, but the second-hand clothing were actually very popular in that stage. And interesting is that you can see not only in China, but also in Europe, all this film with the battle scene, when soldiers who killed, all the villagers who come out and rip off all this clothing or shoes or whatsoever. Right? Just don't forget this clothing or outfit was really rare and expensive, and was actually a good fortune for them. And this again is women's outfit. You can see that it is shorter, only this is like a shirt. Right? We used to have a different way. We call these tongues and a long dress. In very normal or formal occasions, you have to have this kind of long dress. But usually at home, you just have this kind of shirts, and you have skirt with it. That will be more convenient to work or to do anything. And you can see here, this is the shirt. And you can see that here in this picture, from the second half of the 19th century on, the photography was actually very popular in China already. That I think the technique was actually introduced into China, say 1860s. So you have a lot of photoshops, and since then we can find a lot of pictures describing how the people used to live. And here this is a picture showing that this is actually a very noble birds, so that they can display their little feet. Right? And you can see that this is the so-called long dress. And usually the woman in the middle is actually a very rich or better household, so that this kind of skirt is always worn. And this one is with trousers. It's rather unusual. And see the hairdress. And that's the typical way of the Chinese in the 19th century. And this is actually a rather interesting picture showing that the Chinese students, scholars, taking part in the national examination. The examination system in China was really popular, important. All the students, all the people, the literati, they work hard only for this purpose. Once you pass the examination, you will be assigned as perhaps a magistrate in a little county, or you'll be assigned as a officer in any kind of ministry. So for the Chinese, once you study, there's only one purpose: to pass the examination. And in order to pass the examination, you have to prepare a long time. You have to memorize a lot of canons, literally memorize, because in the examination, one of the questions may be just Confucius say, and then 2 keywords, and you have to memorize the whole paragraph. If you fail to do so, you can forget it. And then you have to do the poems. Right? You have to make poems according to a given topic, and you have to do it very quickly. And then you have to write few essays. So this is actually, the picture shows that if from here you can see just a little kind of there's always a special place for the examination. The places will be divided into little compartments against the wall. Each and every one will be assigned to a little place. Right? This is the place here. And see, this is actually a piece of wood. During the night, you have to stay there for 3 days and 3 nights. During the day, you can just put it on a higher stand so that it can be turned into a table. And in the night, you have to put it down. You sleep there in the night. Right? And they call it the kaopeng, a canopy for the examination, which is really inconvenient. And don't forget, most of the examination will be held in summer without air conditioning, and it's really hard. And if you're sitting there writing all these, and you have to take your own food with you, because in these 3 days and 3 nights, you won't be allowed to leave the place. So you have to take food with you. You stay there, you don't have enough water, you don't have any kind of possibility to get any refreshments. And if you're not lucky enough, just think about it, right? You have toilet here. You stay next to the toilet. You can imagine the stench, the smell of it. So there's always a saying that the examinees just look like a beggar. That's how they do the examination. Okay, in Taiwan as well as in China, you have all these kind of currencies here. And most of the currencies were actually the metal, like bronze, like the copper money, or the silver, or gold even. But it's impossible to carry a lot of money with you. So you have this kind of so-called 银票, the ticket, silver ticket, that's actually issued by private companies. If you say go from Taipei to Kaohsiung, and you won't be able to take, say, 500 kilograms of silver with you. So what do? You take these 500 kilograms of silver to a certain shop in Taipei, say I'm traveling to Kaohsiung. Will it be possible that you issue me a receipt of this 500 gram silver? And when 500 kilogram silver, when I'm going to Kaohsiung, perhaps I can collect this 500 gram silver from your branch there. I don't have to carry them. And this was actually the case. So in China, we have a lot of 银票号. They just issue this kind of receipt. That's actually you put the money in and you collect somewhere else, and you have to pay. So those who collect the ticket will have to pay for the effort, or for the convenience. So this kind of business became more and more popular in the Qing dynasty. And in China, there were several multi-provincial companies. They provide this kind of services nationwide. So you have this kind of 银票. Now, for example, here you can see that with this receipt to our company, you will receive 1,000 coppers anytime, issued in the Guangxu. Guangxu is actually the 1970s, 1980s. This is the 银票. It was actually a private company, but everybody recognized the value of this kind of 银票, and later on it became an official currency, but it's not issued by the government. And there are some certain way to prevent any kind of fake or counterfeit. So you can see that stamps of the writing and some code here. And here we can see some guild house in Taiwan. People, the merchants from mainland China to Taiwan, they will gather together. For example, this is actually a 全交会馆. 全 is the 泉州 from Minnan. They gather here and change information and so on. And this kind of merchant house, guild house, functions as a club for the country fellow, functions as a hotel for the country fellow, and functions as even as a charity house. So you have from Quanzhou, you have lost all your money, and you still can go to the merchant house, the guild house, for help. They will certainly do everything for you, because this kind of friendship between this country fellow were really bound, or this kind of bond was really strong. Some of the cases, the merchants can die in a different, say, in the foreign places, and they even will look after all these things for you, like they will put you into a coffin, take your coffin home, and all your personal belongings will be shipped home with your remains and so on. So the WHEI-MING, the guild house, was actually one of the it's actually a very important institution in China. I think we take 10 minutes break, right?